Today, the last three words on Daf Yomi Warriors. Meisvei. Where's the question? Marzutra. Meisvei Marzutra. But it's not supposed to be Meisvei, it's supposed to be Massive. Meisvei is whenever there's no name. It says Meisvei, they ask the question, there's never a name attributed. Massive is when we know the person that asked it. Eisvei is when we know both the person that asked and the person that's being asked to. So it's supposed to be massive. I have on the bottom, it says Ksavia. In the manuscript, it says massive. Massive Marzutra. Marzutra has a question. Again, we're talking about what does R mean? Does R mean night, or does it mean day? And it was a machlekes Rav Huna and Rav Yehuda. Rav Yehuda says it means night, and Rav Huna said it meant light. Okay, so the question goes like this: Amapelas, a woman that miscarries, or l'shmeina v'echad, the night before the 81st day. Now, just the background for this is that we're discussing R. You notice the word R there? That's going to be the background to this is that a woman that has a male child, a boy, is tummy for 7 days, and she has 33 days, so this is called Yimei Tayar, where she's pure. If a woman has a girl, she's tummy for 14 days, and she has 66 days of Yimei Tayar, a total of 80 days until all of this is over. After all of this is over, it's called the malaise when it's over. So then she brings a korban after the Yimei Tayar are over. After the first 2 weeks, she can then be together with her husband and she can become pregnant again. So what happened here is that she had her child. Doesn't say it was alive or not, but she had a child. Whatever the case is, she had a birth. She's tamei for 14 days and she has 66 days of Yimei Tayar. Then she has a miscarriage. And when's the miscarriage? It's exactly on the 80th day. The night of the 80th day. Yeah, I can't hear you. Dr. Stein, I can't hear you. I see you saying something, but I can't hear you.
There's a scratchy echo, so I don't know what I see. The Cohen is not muted. I don't know if it's coming from you, but or if anyone else hears it.
Oh, he's not on audio. I'm sorry. I left my my headset in my jacket. You're not on the audio. What could I do? Let's see. I mute. Is that any better?
Naftali, do you hear that too, or is it just me? Well, you're muted.
I
don't know. Never
okay.
mind. I'll listen. Thank you.
So the question now is, can this woman bring one korban for both births? If the second birth, would have been within the 80 days, then she could bring one korban for both. This was a miscarriage. The first birth, it doesn't tell us how long it was. Yeah. Right. So now the problem is that it's right after the malaise, after the 80 days. Only thing is, it's before she can actually bring the korban, because she can only bring the korban by day. It's in the middle. It's after the malaise, but it's not the time for the korban. So it's a machlekes Beis Shammai paichim korban, Beis Hillel mechayim. Beis Shammai says she's exempt from a separate korban. She can bring one korban, and Beis Hillel says no, she has to bring two korbanos. Okay, Amru Beis Hillel Beis Shammai. Beis Hillel says to Beis Shammai, Maishna or shmeinim ve'echad miyayim shmeinim ve'echad. They still said you have to bring two. So they said to Beishamai, what's the difference if it's the night after or if it's the day after? Im shiva leila tumma le'yishva leila karban. What Beis Hillel is claiming is like this. The 66 days was Yemei Tayar. Once the 66 days are up, then she becomes regular tumma if she sees any dam. It's regular tumma. It's clearly that the 66 days are over. So if it's over for dam, for the tummas, whatever it is, neither it's either whatever. So then it should be over for the birth as well, for the carbon. So Beis Shammai, the Gemara over here doesn't quote Beis Shammai's response to that. This is Gemara increases. Beis Shammai's response, Rashi tells us that Beis Shammai says that it's not eligible yet to bring the carbon because it's not by day. You're telling me about blood? Said the blood is not approved because the birth is not blood. If there would have been a birth earlier, she becomes tummy earlier also for 14 days during that because of the birth, not because of the blood. So birth is different than blood. Anyway. So whatever the case is, the translation, the dictionary part of this Gemara is we're looking for the translation of the word ar. We found it. Ar means night. Clearly, it says ar shmeinu l'shmeinu ve'echad. Shmamina, ar means night. Back to our Mishnah, ar la'arbasa v'aytin asachametz la'arner. It's the night of the 14th. Rafuna said it's day. He doesn't respond. He doesn't answer this. We'll see soon. Meisvei, there's another question. Yachol ye nechal or l'shlishi. This is talking about a carbon shlamim. Carbon shlamim is eaten for 2 days, including the night in between the 2 days. So you bring a carbon, let's say today, Tuesday. Bring the carbon, you can eat it for Tuesday and Wednesday, and you can eat it Tuesday night. What about Wednesday night? So, v'dinu, and it's logical, you should be able to eat it Wednesday night also. Other sacrifices are eaten only for 1 day. Shlamim is eaten for 2 days. Those other sacrifices that are only 1 day, you have the whole night following it, whatever it is. Whatever, all of those. It's the day with the night following. By the shlamim, we have 2 days. It should be the night following. It should be parallel. Talmud Laimar b'yoyim zivchachem yiyachol mimachras. On the day of the slaughtering, you eat it in the following day. V'hanaiser ad yom, and what's left over. It says ad yom shlishi. What's left over till the next day. Ba'id yom unechal bein nechal la'ar shlishi. The Gemara cuts off the pasuk. V'hanaiser ad yom. What's left over during the day, that's it. Ba'id yom unechal. You can only eat it. Only during the day. You can't eat it until la'ar shlishi, to the night of the third. See that? Ar shlishi, the night of the third. You only have the 2 days. You don't have the night following the 3 days. Yachal yisarif miyad. Maybe it's automatically considered nicer. Remember this from Zvachim, Iber Geblibner? Maybe it's considered nicer. So, and you should burn it right away by night. Bidinu. And that's even logical. Dinu is logical. Other sacrifices are eaten for 1 day and 1 night. Shlamim are eaten for 2 days and 1 night. Just like by those sacrifices, once the night is over and you can't eat anymore, immediately you burn what's left over. So here also, Afkan, take up lachil right away after the eating should be the burning. Now, in this case, it would be at night. It says, we have quote the pasuk that was left over from the sacrifice to the 3rd day is burnt in fire. B'yoymata seiref, I guess. Sarfai. That's a correction. V'yata sarfa b'layla. You only burn it by day, not by night. Okay. We learned the halacha about the eating of the sacrifice. You only have 2 days. You don't have 2 days and 1 night. You don't have 2 days and 2 nights. We also learned that you don't burn it right away. You have to wait till the 3rd day to burn it. But whatever the case is, we use this as a dictionary to tell me what the meaning of the word ar is. From the fact that it says that ar l'shlishi, the night before the 3rd day, alma ar urtuhu. You see that ar means night. Shema mina. Clear proof. Tashima, come in here. Come and listen. Ar shel Yom Kippurim, the night of Yom Kippur, mispal sheva u'misvada. You daven Shemon Esrei, you say 3 brachas at the beginning, 3 brachas at the end, and in the middle there's 1 bracha which makes the 7th bracha. What it is? Mekadesh Yisrael v'yem hazikaron. Something. That's what we say in Yom Kippur. Whatever it is, the v'yem Kippurim. Zikaron is Rosh Hashanah. Melech Michael Lavenisenu Lavenisam Yisrael Maver Melech Mekadesh Yisrael v'yem Kippurim. Something like that. Right? So you have the middle bracha over there, which is a total of 7, and you say Vida. Shachris, Mispal Sheva Misvada. Shachris, the same thing. 7 brachas, 3 before, 3 at the end, the regular template for Shemon Esrei, and the middle bracha. Musaf Mispal Sheva Misvada, and Musaf is the same thing. 7 brachas, and you say Vida, which is the Al-Chetz. Mincha Mispal Sheva Misvada. By Mincha, you do the same. What about the Arvis? Talking now about Arvis, and tell us Neila. Arvis, it says, Mispalel me'en shmona esrei. It says that you do, there's missing words in our text. It says, B'ne'ila mispal sheva misvada. The girsa over there in that Masechta that has it in our Masechta for some reason it got cut out. So it says by Neila also you say 7 brachas and you say Vida. We say Vida in Neila, we don't say in the Chazaras Hashatz in Neila, right? I think so. I don't remember. So, and by Ma'ariv you say Havinenu. Havinenu is a condensed version of the middle 13 brachas of Shemon Esrei. 12, 13 brachas of Shemon Esrei. So you say the first 3, you say the last 3, and in the middle you have the Havinenu, which is 1 paragraph, which has 2 words from each bracha. Something like that. And the reason for that, Rashi says, is because Torah Chatainis. Everyone's tired. We shorten the Shemon Esrei. They fasted all day. Make a quick Shemon Esrei. Like Chazaras Hashatz. No, this is similar to the Chazaras Hashatz that we do Friday night. We do. It's called Me'en Sheva. It's just a condensed version of the Shemon Esrei. So this is the Havinenu is a condensed version of a weekday Shemon Esrei. Rabbi Chanina ben Gamliel, or maybe it's from Gamliel, Aimer Misham Avaisav, in the name of his fathers, his ancestors. Mispal Shemon Esrei Shleimus Pnei Shetzarchem Abdallah B'chein Nadas. You have to say Abdallah. You have to say Abdallah. If you condense it, you can't fit anything else in. So don't say Havinenu. You can't say Atachin Antanu in Havinenu. It's already condensed. You have to say the full Shemon Esrei to add in Atachin Antanu. Whatever the case is, Alma or Urtuhu. Okay, but all examples. We're learning each example, but we're looking for just for 1 point that R is 9. Shema Mina. See clearly, it says Ar Shel Yom Kippurim. We're talking about Yom Kippur night. Tashima, another proof. Tani de Bei Shmuel. It was taught in the Brisa, in the house of Shmuel, in the yeshiva of Shmuel. Leili Arba Asar Beit Kines Chamas Laraner. See, instead of saying Ar Arba Asar, this Brisa said Leili Arba Asar, the night of the 14th. We're not going to make a machlekes over here. So we're going to say that Ar means the night, just like the Brisa says Leili. Alma Ar. I'm sorry. Yeah. Alma Ar Urtehu. We see that Ar means the night. Elabain Ravuna, the Gemara adjusts this because Yossi just commented. So what does Ravuna do with all of this? Gemara adjusts this. Ela Bein Rav Huna, Bein Rav Yehuda, the Kuli Alma or to actually everyone holds that R means night. And there's really no machlekes. Marki Asrei, Marki Asrei. Each one goes according to his place. What does that mean? Asi de Rav Huna Kari Nagi. Rav Huna calls night Nagi. Asi de Rav Yehuda Kari Leili. In the place of Rav Yehuda, he calls it Leili, which is night. And Nagi means to shine, but it's on the side. There's a quote the Aruch that says it's an expression like to call a blind person Saginar, a lot of light. So at night they call it light. They call it, I think I don't know if Dr. Stein is going to go for this. When I try this, they tell me to stick to your day job. But Nagi is night. It's with the GH. Nagi. But anyway.
Wait, that's a problem because that changes the whole Manishtana to why is this night different from all other nights?
Do not take the rest of the day off. Do not, please. Horrible.
Okay. So everyone says that Or Labasa means the night of the 14th. Why did Rav Huna say that it means light, which we thought meant day? Because he calls night light. Why does he do that? Well, the same way a blind person is called Saginar, a lot of light. It's a euphemism for a blind person. Or the cemetery is called Beis HaChayim, or maybe that's not a euphemism. I don't know. Whatever the case is, that's a way of saying in a positive way something that's actually dark. Now the Gemara says, "V'tana didan my time like tani leile." So why didn't our Tana say leile the night? It would have been clearer, like the Brisa does for the Brisa that Shmuel had. Lishna ma'alya not the nakat. It took a positive expression. Or could Rabbi Shua ben Levi, like Rabbi Shua ben Levi. Rabbi Shua ben Levi, a person should never say something negative, should never let the negative thing out of his mouth. The Torah makes ikim like crooked, like it goes out of its way it adds 8 extra letters not to say something negative. Shenemar min avehema Torah min avehema sherinena tahira. This is it. This is source of it. We had it in brachas. Oh, very good. So that's right. It's in what is this? Naya. It says they take from the pure animals and from the animals that are not pure. Inena tahira. That is not pure. It could have said tame, but it didn't say tame. Tame is 3 letters. Sherinena tahira is 13 letters. I'm sorry. You could have said Mina Behema Hatimeya, which is 5 letters. I'm sorry. Hatimeya, which is 5 letters. So 13 minus 5 leaves us with 8 extra letters that the Torah went out of its way to use. It's not to say the word Behema Hatimeya. Rav Papa Matesha. Rav Papa says that it's more than that. It's more than 8 letters. It's 9 letters the Torah does. Quotes another source. Before this, the commentaries here make a big deal about what's going on over here. You find so many places in the Torah where it says Tameya or something. So, could be when it comes to halacha, you have to be clear. This is just the story in Parshas Naya. Or it also could be that normally a halacha, we understand that to mean Behema Tahira and Behema Ashaynena Tahira are kosher animals and non-kosher animals. It's not necessarily so. I mean, that's the way we have in Rashi or whatever. But it could be the pshat is Behema Tahira means the animals that are pure. Ashaynena Tahira are the ones that mated with other animals because that was the corruption back then. So Tameya then would have meant different than it does in Jewish cut. Tameya then meant that it was corrupt. It was a different corruption. And that's not what you're supposed to say. Those were other corruptions. So that's a pshat that the version said. But Papa Matesha, Papa says 9 letters. Nemakia b'cha ish asher lo yiatar mikra laila. If there is a man that is not pure, could have said tamei. Here, tamei by the animal it was hatmeya. That was 5 letters. Over here it would have said ish. That's tamei. Now lo yiatar or asher lo yiatar is 12 letters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. If you skip the vav, it's 12 letters. If you drop the vav from tar, because it doesn't have to say it with the vav. You drop the vav from tar, it's 12 letters. Minus 3 that it could have said tamei. It's 9 letters. Mikra Laila. He has a mission on 9. Ravina Amar Esther. Ravina says no, it's even 10 letters. Why? Because vav the tar. The vav and tar. That's an extra, that makes 13 letters. 13 minus 3 is 10. It's really 16. 16 letters the Torah went out of its way. So it's to say it in a positive way. We have biltitar, or who biltitar? Biltitar is 8 letters. Kilaitar is another 8 letters. So together it's 16. And it didn't have to say that. It's repetitive here. It's 8. It's 16 letters. And all of this was extra. Okay. Okay. Tanya Debei Rabbi Shmuel. It was taught in the yeshiva of Rabbi Shmuel. Lo'ilam Yisapar Adam Blush Nikiya. Person should always speak a clean language. Sharei Bezav Karov Merkav Be'isha Karov Maisha. It's talking about a zav or a zava that sits on something, or that rides on something. So it says to ride by the man. Now, ride is when you separate your legs, you put them over the animal. By the woman, it doesn't say that she rides; it just says she sits. And the reason is because the woman rides side saddle. She doesn't separate her legs because that's not modest. So the Torah doesn't say that she rides. The Torah says that she sits. Now, Tosfos goes through, but there's actually differences in halacha between riding and sitting, and other things. Whatever the case is, the Torah doesn't want to tell us something that's not clean. And it also says, "V'tivcha lashon arumim." You should choose the wise language. Arum means wise, smart. Arum. The snake was smart, clever. The word arum also means naked. Now, it depends if there's a dagish in the mem. The dagish in the mem, really when we say in the morning, malbish arumim, you have to stress the mem. Malbish arumim, not arumim. Malbish arumim. Because that means to clothes the naked. You say malbish arumim, it means to clothes the wise, which is also good, but that's not what the word means. Arum could mean, it depends on where you put the. There's an expression, a dictic expression that they say that that the wise are softer. Something, I forget the Hebrew expression, but basically you don't have the dagish. And it says, that's what it is. Something like, I forget the expression. It had to do with the barefooted are softer. Something, it means the wise. I forget the expression. Okay. Another pasuk. The das fasai barar milelu. I guess the knowledge of my lips speaks clearly. My va'imer. The Gemara asks, why do we need these other psukim? I mean, we already said that Merkov is by the man and by the Isha it says Maisha. Thank you. So, thank you. So why do we need these? We brought three proofs: Merkov versus Maisha by the woman, Bativ Chaloshin Arumim rather, this Chaloshin Arumim, and V'das Fase Bar Milel, two psukim and one contrast. So why do we need all of these? So it goes like this. Maybe the Torah itself is careful, but the rabbis aren't careful. So in other words, the Torah said Merkov versus Maisha by the man, not by the woman. So Tashma va'imar b'tiv chalash narum. So we quote a pasuk that says the wise choose their words. Choose the words of the wise. You can say that maybe this is only by rabbinic law. But when you're just talking about things of any general nature, not specifically Torah matters or rabbinic matters or biblical matters, then just regular mundane things, maybe you don't need to be so careful. So for that it says, another pasuk v'das fasei bar milelo, that speak clearly, speak clean. The Gemara says, "V'isha like siv b'merkav." The Torah never writes that a woman rode. B'ksiv v'takim Rivka b'naisar v'tikhavna l'gmalim. Rivka and the girls that were with her, and they rode on the camels. The Gemara says, "Hasamishim v'yatusa the gemalim orchel." Okay, I don't know exactly how it feels to ride on a camel or on a donkey or on a horse, but one time I went horseback riding, it was just boring. They walked me around, but apparently on the camel, it's scary. So when they get up, So apparently by the camel, it's if you don't hold on, you'll fall off. So it's better to ride the camel, even for a woman, to ride it properly so she doesn't fall off.
It's like riding in a New York City taxi, like at like 11 o'clock at night, like 20 years ago.
A taxi. I was one time in a taxi and some like kids on the side, like pulled the door open. I don't know if that ever happened to anyone while you're inside. It's scary, like troublemakers. Anyway, yeah, you could fall off that also. So vaksiv vayikach Moshe ishte v'espana v'yakiva malach hamar. Another pasuk. Moshe takes his wife and his sons and he rides them on a donkey. There goes our answer with camels. Here's a donkey, and he's riding his wife on the donkey, and it's supposed to should say he sat her, not he rode. That he had her sit, not she had to ride. Umar says Hassam Shembanov Orchu. This is because of the sons, so it says that he's that he rode. Now, I think what the Gemara means is that it chose the verb that would be appropriate for the sons. And it included the wife in there as well. It didn't have to separate the verb for each one. Okay. This is probably, today, when we're discussing modesty, women, from women don't wear pants. But in the secular world, they don't have any concept of that. It's modest, pants are maybe even more modest than the dress. But we don't show the separate legs. It's considered not modest. I guess traditionally as well, just the modern world. Okay, v'haksiv. Another pasuk it says v'hi recheves al chamar. This is Abigail. Abigail's husband was Novel was a no goodnik. He didn't support David, and Abigail he didn't bring food to David. David asked for food. Abigail goes and serves them and everything, and then Novel dies, and David marries Abigail. When she's bringing him the food, she's riding on the donkey. Over there, it's a special reason why she's riding. It doesn't say she's sitting. It's because it was at night and it was scary. So at night, more careful, even though it's not as maybe not as modest. Everybody saying we shouldn't be a tusa Delilah lekum. We should be a tusa the Davidikum. Could be she was afraid of David. David was upset with her husband. She was coming to bring food, I think, to protect what David was going to do to her husband. In the end, I think Naval died on his own. I don't remember. I think he just died 10 days later or something. He wasn't killed by David. She was coming down the mountain. So coming down the mountain, you have to hold on with the legs. The Gemara says a baraisa amilek siv tamei. It never says tamei in the Torah. It says tamei all the time. Alakol hecha dechiyadadi nenu. I'm sorry. Going back to the first piece. Perfect. It never says tamei in the Torah. Alakol hecha dechiyadadi nenu mishtoi b'lashin nekiya. Kol hecha b'nefishin gila mishtoi b'lashin katzara. The Gemara here says that it has another concern. It wants to teach it in short. It doesn't want to extend everything. There's a judgment call that needs to be made. Should we say it concise, or should we say it more clean, more pure? So it has to choose between them. So if it's equal, then it will always say the more clean one. But if it has to go out of its way to add letters, that doesn't. It only did it once to teach us that we should do that. Teach us that we should speak clean. Yeah, Pesach explains this. But it does it once to teach us that a person should always speak clean. If it wouldn't have gone out of its way to do that, then how would we know that that's important? Okay. Kedamar Rav Huna Amar Rav, like Rav Huna says the name of Rav. Amrila Amar Rav Huna Amar Rav Mishum Rav Meir. Some say that Rav Huna said the name of Rav and the name of Rav Meir. It goes back to the days of Rav Meir. A person should always teach his students in concise fashion. The Gemara says, could have said, it could have said Yesheves by those psukim. By Abigail. Why does it could have said Yesheves, she sat. Why does it have to say she wrote? If it's equal, the same amount of letters, so that's what it should do. It says Recheves Ksiv. It has it without a vav. It's one letter shorter. Pesach asks, so why didn't it say Yesheves, without the vav? Pesach says that the word Yashav, without a vav, always gives me a drasha. And for example, he says Maloit Yoshev or Yashav. It says Yoshev, Yashar Sedaim, but it's written without a vav. It teaches us that he became the judge. Yashav means that he was sitting there, he was judging. He was appointed the judge that day. So the word Yashav without a vav would have taught me other things which we weren't including into this. So it couldn't have said Yesheves without a vav, but Recheves without a vav it could say, and that's why it said Recheves. Shorter. Hani trei talmidei the Haviyasvi kamid Rav. Two students sitting in front of Rav. This halacha made me so tired. Learning this made me so tired. There's different interpretations of Misankan. Made me so tired, I'm like a tired out pig. That's what he said. Other one said this made me like a tired goat, a kid. Right. So Rav didn't talk to the one that said like a tired pig. His coarse expressions. He didn't even say pig. He said kedavaracha. It's like yenamacha. That's kedavaracha is like you don't even say it. But nevertheless, his expression in his mind wasn't clear. He used a pig as an example. It's unbelievable. Unless maybe the Gemara is covering it up. And he said it, I don't know. Okay. Now we have Hanuche Talmidi Daviyasvi Kamei de Hillel. Two students are sitting in front of Hillel. forget how many students did Hill have. The Gemara told us. I think it says he has 80 students. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was the youngest of them, or the smallest of them, and Yonasan ben Uziel was the greatest of them. Right? Chad minai Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. One of them was Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. Barmila kamei the Rebbe. Chad minai Rabbi Yochanan. That's an interesting mistake, or not a mistake, another version of this, but it's so similar. It's Rabbi Yochanan in front of Rebbe versus Rebbe is at the center of Hillel, versus Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai in front of Hillel. Chadamar, one of the students said, why, when it comes to picking grapes, do you have to make sure that the vessels that you use, that you collect the grapes into, are pure? But when it comes to olives, you don't need pure vessels. And the reason is because the juice that makes the olives wet is not real oil. The oil you get only from the press. So the juice, you're not interested in. And remember, with kiyutan, you have to appreciate that it gets wet. So the wine that comes out of the grapes, you appreciate it's going to drip down. But the juice that comes out of the olives, you don't appreciate. So it's not considered wet. You don't have to be worried about the kelim. The other one said, when it comes to grapes, do you do it betara? But when it comes to the olives, you do it betuma. He didn't say ve'ein maiskin betara. He said maiskin betuma. Amar, so whoever it was, either Hillel or Rebbe, said, I can see this person's going to be a rabbi. It's going to be a paisek. It wasn't many days passed before he was already. It's either Rabbi Yochanan or Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai is a Tana, or Rabbi Yochanan is Amar. There's two versions of the story. Kanu Tlasa Kani. There were three Kayanim. Chadamar Hegiani Kipol. One of them says, I got from the Lechem Apanim, I got the size of a bean. Chadamar Hegiani Kazayas. One of them said, I got the size of an olive. Chadamar Hegiani Kazanav Halata. I got the size of a lizard's tail. They checked and they found, turns out that the one that said the lizard's tail was really a chalal. It wasn't kosher to do it was a Yisrael. Yeah. So Tanan, it says Tanya, but Tanan, you're not supposed to check. Once a person has made it to that place where he is already working in the base of Mikdash, you don't check to see maybe we made a mistake. Every day you go through and you see who's still acceptable. It says, it wasn't checking his lineage. It was checking his views. And they found out that he wasn't careful. He was a Baal Gaiva, and he was he wasn't worthy of working. It was his own personal character that they didn't like. It wasn't his lineage. You're right. You don't go into his lineage. That, right. Okay. At least even in an expression, it wasn't acceptable. The Iba Yisema, another pshat is. That's a good question. Yes, he's asking a good question. He's asking if a kohen could be disqualified just because of his character.
That was my question also.
Rashi is telling me some other things here. He says that the kohen needs to agree to all of the laws. And they checked this person out and they saw that he wasn't in agreement. He had his own opinions about things. They were able to see that from the fact that from his expression. And he didn't agree to all the laws. It says, Shemetz, it meant that he was a chalal. His father was a Kayan, but his child was born from maybe a Grusha or something. Yeah, it's worse though. It's called Chalal. Okay. This person, usually you don't check, but this person brought it on himself because of his expressions. They decided that they need to check him out. He created reason to be to suspect. Who Arma, nice famous Gemara, was this non-Jew? It's going to be a big question on it, but it's a famous Gemara. He went to the Beis Hamikdash and he faked that he was Jewish. Got a hold of a black hat, probably, and he wanted to eat the Korban Pesach, and he did. Omar, he said, it says that a non-Jew is not allowed to eat. Someone that's not uncircumcised is not allowed to eat. And I made it through and I ate. It was delicious. I ate the best. The non-Jew is telling to Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira. So we'll see. Amalei Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira. Korban Pesach. Yes, during the temple times. Yeah, and they let him in. They let him in. Amalei Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira mikasafalach me'alia. Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira says, did they feed you from the fat tail, which would be served on a sheep? It's a sheep. Not on a goat, but on a sheep, there would be a fat tail there. Did they serve you that? Amalei loy. It says no. So it turns out that the tail is brought to is offered on the altar. It's offered on the altar. It's considered not chelav, but it's still offered on the altar. Kisalkas lahasam. So he gets to the Beis Hamikdash. No, Kisalkas lahasam. He says when you get there, tell them to feed you the good stuff. They gave you the scraps. So Kisalik Amalei Me'alia Safali, feed me from the Alia. Yeah, he was claiming to Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira that I wasn't Jewish and I tricked the whole temple. So Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira says, ask them for the Alia. Right. So Amalei Alia Legavaya Salka. That goes on the Mizbeach. That we don't serve to people. Amrulei, man Amrlachachi. Who told you this to ask for this? Amrulei, Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira. It was Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira. What are you telling me? I have a rabbi that told me. Amru, my hide to come on. They said, what is going on here? Something is suspicious. But Kabasra, they checked him out. Vashkhu Darmo, Vikatlu. They found out that he wasn't Jewish, and they killed him. Big question why they killed him. You kill a guy that doesn't. Infiltrate. Well, it doesn't say that he went inside the Beis Hamikdash. It was eaten outside. No, it was eaten on the mount. They brought it to Yerushalayim. Anyway, it could have been just a. It doesn't mean that this is the rule that anyone that does this kills him. The Taisus asked, why didn't Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira kill him? It says he wasn't able to. Where was that? Where did I see that? Rashi says that. Rashi says that. Okay. The question is, what is this Gemara doing here? Let's see further. Peace unto you, Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira, that you're in Netzivan and your net is spread out until Yerushalayim. That he was able to catch him there. Now, the commentaries say that because Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira never made jokes, spoke extra, or just jesting, like we were talking before, that you have to be careful with your words. So that's why they knew to look into it. If it would have been a rabbi that jokes around, so then they would have said, whatever, yeah, he was kidding with you. But that's what they understood. It's a nice story with the Chidah. He was forced into giving a hechsher on cheese that wasn't non-kosher cheese. And he had to write the name. On the letter that he wrote, he was on a boat, I think, and so he had Chaim Yosef David Azalai. It's 200 years ago. Anyway, he wrote the parsha of the Korban Pesach, which says Masnechem Chagurim. He wrote the Targum. He says Chartzeichem Yahain Asirin. The Targum for that. Anyway, Chartzeichem Yahain Asirin. Chartzeichem can also be translated as cheese. When they write the date. So Chartzeichem Yahain Asirin means your belt should be on. But here Chartzeichem Yahain Asirin, and when he brought it to whatever city it was to show it to the Rav, he looked into it. He says Chartzeichem Yahain Asirin. Something's funny. Checked it out. So it wasn't really kosher. Okay. Rav Kana Chalash. Rav Kana was ill. Shadru Rabbanan Rabbi Shua Breid Ravidi. The rabbi sent to Rabbi Shua Breid Ravidi. Amalei Zil B'daik Maidine. Go check how he's doing. Also, he came Ashkechei Denach Nafshe. He saw that he had passed away. Kari L'Levushi V'Hadja L'Kari L'Acher. He tore his clothing, but then he switched it around so it wasn't recognizable that it was torn. He tore it and then he turned it sideways, whatever. You couldn't see it. The Bachi Basi, and he was crying, and he came. Amalei Nach Nafshe. They asked him, did he pass away? Amalei Anole Kamina. I didn't say anything. Maitzi Dibo Ksil, someone that spreads the word is a fool. So Yechanan Chakuka Nafat Lekraisa. Yechanan Chakuka. Chakuka is either a place or he was a cipher. He was an engraver. Rashi, I don't know what Rashi means. Is that a nickname for Yechanan? Anyway, no, he came to the village to see how the wheat was doing. He also, when he comes back, is the wheat growing well? He said the barley is growing well. Says, go tell that to the horses and to the donkeys, because barley is food for the horses and donkeys. You don't answering our question. So, the Gemara says, what was he supposed to say? He should have said, last year the wheat did well. Or he could have said, the lentils are doing well, because that's also human food. Let's leave it over here. Have a good day, everyone.
Thank you.